Okay guys, so do a little exercise with me here. Open up your SharePoint Admin Center, take a look at the active sites, and in that inventory, tell me honestly how many sites that you think are no longer in use. This sprawl is a big problem I see in most environments that I work with, and this is how it normally occurs. Somebody spins up a site for a project, the project wraps, the site stays, repeat that for a few years across your organization, and you've built a museum. The 2022 rebrand site, the vendor portal for the vendor that you fired, the interns test site that still exists today. None of it gets cleaned up and nobody's really paying attention to it, especially in SMB, because we don't have this concept of somebody like a data governance officer. It's data sprawl, but it's not just clutter. It's storage that you're paying for, security you're not watching, and still content your AI tools will happily treat as gospel. So in today's mission, we're gonna find the dead sites, we're gonna deal with them properly, and we'll get your tenant ready for whatever comes next. Let's go ahead and dive in. Before we dive in to show you the solution here, let's unpack those three costs because the third one is newer with AI usage. First, when we talk about storage, dead sites still eat your tenant quota. And once you blow past what's included, every gigabyte starts to cost real money for files that nobody's touched in years. Second, security. Every site has a set of permissions you stop watching, sharing links that you forgot about. It's a quiet risk sitting there accumulating. And third, this is a newer one, which is AI readiness. Here's a scenario that's catching teams off guard. You connect an AI assistant to Microsoft 365. It doesn't matter if this is Copilot, could also be something like Claude or GPT, but whatever's plugged into your tenant, and somebody asks a simple question like, what's our current onboarding process? It thinks for a second, then it confidently hands you back a document from 2021 that it's referencing. The steps are wrong. 2 of the tools it mentions got retired years ago. And the file that I got it from was from one of those sites that hasn't been touched in years. The AI tool did its job. It found the document. The problem is everything's sitting around the document. The tools don't know that that site hasn't been used in years. So cleaning up before you connect to AI tools isn't just busy work, it's part of the foundation now when you talk about implementation. Okay, so as we dive in here, the solution I'm going to be showcasing for you guys today is called Site Lifecycle Management. It's something that's part of SharePoint Advanced Management. I'll get into the licensing considerations here in a minute as well. But this is the diagram I just wanted to showcase here about how it works at a very high level. So you have all of our active sites here in SharePoint. We have time that passes and they'll become inactive. You can set the inactivity date, whether that's 90 days or so on and so forth. And that could be based off of the last modified file or access file within the site. But it also takes a look and expands that scope into Teams, Viva, and Exchange as well too. That might create some activity that you would want to understand and know before you're automating things like archiving it or switching it to read-only. But this will actually notify the owners or admins of that site, depending on your settings that you configure that we'll walk through. Are you still using this? And then the owner can certify, or they could either say, we're not using it, or we don't want to have any response. They just don't respond at all. And then automated enforcement actions can take place. So if they certify it, it can remain active in this particular case. But if they say no or they don't respond, you could automatically archive the site or turn it into this read-only state and preserve the files, which you can reverse at any time. And I'll show you guys how to do that as part of this as well. Okay, as far as the licensing goes, again, this is called SharePoint Advanced Management. It is included if you have a Copilot license. That's the add-on license with Microsoft. This can be something that you purchase, right? That's part of the enterprise model where you're above 300 users, or Copilot for Business Plan. It's the same license, is just cheaper. You just have to be under 300 seats. So if that's the case, you already have Copilot. This is already included. You don't have to do anything else. But if you don't have Copilot or using some other AI tool, you do have this SharePoint Advanced Management Plan 1 add-on license as part of this as well. And this is something that's $3 a user a month. That's part of this. So it's a little steep for what it is maybe on the forefront here for what you guys are thinking, but it does include a lot of other features here that's part of it. It's not just what I'm going to show you today. But it helps with oversharing, it helps with the content lifecycle, all these other things. I've done a whole different video on this that I'll link in the video description so you can see more of the high level overview. But this is something that you would have to have one of those 2 plans to execute on. Diving into the implementation here, you're going to start in the SharePoint Admin Center. You're going to see this tab over on the left after you license the tenant either with Copilot or SharePoint Advanced Management called Advanced Management. They have this pro tag everywhere around the site, which actually confuses a lot of people. I don't think it's good branding because nothing about SharePoint Advanced Management says pro, but that's just a aside in that sense. But whenever you get in here, you can start a new assessment. And this is how we're going to go ahead and assess
Site Lifecycle, right? It's going to maybe take 48 hours, honestly, to go run this scan, but then it's going to have this site inactivity and site missing ownership as part of this. And you can actually just download this report as part of this as well too, which will contain all of the inactive sites after it does this analysis as part of that. So this used to be PowerShell, it's evolved over time, and now it's just a CSV that you can download. So whenever you download this report, you'll be able to see, all the site names that you have in your tenant. And this is actually just going to be pre-filtered to sites that are actually inactive. So they do have this column is inactive, but it's going to be true from here on, and you'll see the last activity date as part of this. So just export that subset of your sites that falls into that category. You'll have the site created date, you'll have the storage here as well. You also see if it is saying is ownerless in this particular case, which is the email address of the site owners will be listed here. This is just my test tenant, so these are all filled out, but in the client environments that I've worked with, in most cases, they were pretty spotty, right? In the sense that some of them didn't have site owners, which is really more of a prerequisite too that you'd want to do. That I'll get into here as we keep going, but this is something where you would want to do that complete inventory, and you can kind of give you some assumptions maybe, right? Or work with the customer if you're an MSP to say, hey, is there any of these that we could just automatically right now archive versus our ongoing policy that we're going to have as well too. So now that you have that inventory and know how to use that inventory here, the next thing that we would want to do is basically start to go in and start to create our policy here for the ongoing archiving or read-only rights that we want to do. And to get to that, you go under policies here and go to Site Lifecycle Management. Here you have 3 different policies that they incorporate today at the time of this recording, one of which is the inactive site policy that we're going to walk through, the second of which is site ownership policies. So this is where you could send notifications out to find new site owners. I would recommend doing that too, just making sure as kind of a life cycle process that you can find any site that doesn't have an owner and go assign it to somebody. So they're actually getting these notifications as part of this. And then site attestation is basically saying, hey, is this information still up to date? Is this site still relevant, right? Within there that goes out as well. So all 3 are really helpful, I think. But this inactive site one is the one we're going to double click on today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on open, and we're going to create a new policy here. This is going to give you a little bit of the information here, such as generating reports, sending monthly emails, and then acting on sites that are inactive for more than 3 months. So in this case, it's after a 90-day period, right, as part of this. So the scope, you can upload a CSV file with a list of up to 10,000 URLs. This is more enterprise level. I think for most of you watching my video out there, you're going to select sites at scale. They have all these different site templates because of the ways that they've changed how you roll out Microsoft sites over time. Like recently, in the past year or two, they've made it so that you can get Teams license or Microsoft licensing without Teams. And so they have this segregation of like Teams connected sites versus group connected sites without Teams, right? And so generally speaking, I would select all, for the average organization. That's what I've done as by this as well. You could filter if you are rolling out sensitivity labels. You can filter out by site creation source, so if you did it from the SharePoint homepage, Admin Center, PowerShell, Teams, if you needed to do that or need the separation in that sense. I typically don't do that one either. Include sites with retention policies and retention holds. So this is if you've explicitly set those other policies up, for that. You could exclude them, right, from this, and they'd be segregated to go outside in their own retention channel, which is pretty smart if you've already done that. But if you haven't, you might want to automatically include this. Then if there's certain sites that you would say, hey, like let's never archive this, or let's never turn this into read-only, you could also specify this here as well too. So there's a little bit of discovery, as you guys are probably noticing here, that you would want to do prior to setting up the policy, but it's good to know what all it can do as well too. So you got this, how long after the last activity should the site be considered inactive? And this is where, it's defaulting to 3 months, that 90 days, but you could go up to 6 months if you want to be a little bit more conservative. This would be pretty aggressive if you said after a month, like it's gone. But that also might depend on the business there as well. I typically do 3 to 6 months, most of my deployments as part of this. Who should be notified? This is the site owners or site admins, as part of this as well too. Site admins is more of the legacy way that you would do this. Site owners are the modern way to do this with the modern sites. but you can also customize the email that gets sent out. Generally speaking, I work with the organization on this. It's not like you have to do, anything crazy here, but you might have an SOP of which you say, hey, these are the things you might want to take into consideration, as you do this as part of it as well. So they'll get that, and they'll get this notification like this site is inactive and needs attention. But again, this is what it would look like, just as part of this. And you can go in and certify the site, which would be, giving the confirmation here that it's still in use as part of it as well. So you could exclude certain users or groups, and then from there, what do you want to do? What action do you want to take on inactive sites that have not been certified after 3 notifications, right? This is where you can take enforcement or do nothing. And these are your 2 options here that I've been mentioning, which is you can say that the enforcement type's read-only access. Users can view site content, but they can't edit it. And then archiving the sites, this is where you have to have Microsoft's native solution. You can't send this or choose to push it to a third-party archive that you might have. You have to have Microsoft's 365 archiving add-on service, which is more expensive than I would say most people are comfortable with in SMB. But it could vary, right, in that sense. So this is how you would start to save storage costs, but you guys could also just review the ones that are in read-only access over time and begin to deprecate them, over time as well too, through a retention policy that's on top of this as well. So just want to showcase all those settings, and then you can dictate, do you want to put this into simulation mode first? And so this will just generate the reports that you get sent to you over time. And that may be a great way to triage that to start. Typically, it's what I recommend. But you can also go straight into, active mode as well too. So it's going to push out notifications, do all that. It's giving you the preface for that. And then you might want to call this Site Lifecycle V1 as an example. And again, you might scope different sites with different types of policies, right? So that might be a reason why you create multiple policies instead of just kind of this global policy that I'm establishing today. But I'll turn this back into simulation mode and click finish, and then I'll click done. And so now this is going to be running on that monthly cadence. It'll show me their sites. It'll give me the reporting. So you don't necessarily have to do, the piece that I mentioned over here on a periodic basis yourself, because this will auto-generate it, which is nice. And then you can begin to, if you're in simulation mode, begin to turn that into, an enforcement mode, depending on what you're seeing, or could start there. I think it's less of a risk in that sense to do, especially if you're just doing read-only, just because you can roll that back, right, as an example. Now, one other quick note before I showcase that is in the active site section here, whenever you're talking about it going into read-only, that obviously doesn't necessarily solve your Copilot problem or indexing problem with AI, where that site could still be referenced to return answers to users. So within here, in the admin center, you can actually click into this, and with SharePoint Advanced Management, you can also say we want to restrict content discovery, right, as part of this. And this is basically, you restrict the content from appearing in Copilot AI agents in org-wide search results. So this is something that would stop it from indexing, right, and returning answers to individuals there. So if you have Copilot, at least that's where you can get into that other benefit on the AI side. Last thing here, guys, this is the documentation officially from Microsoft. I'll link that in my blog in the video description, but I want to touch on the read-only aspect here as well, just so you understand what users would see as part of this and how you can reverse it. But the notification will get sent out that says that, hey, we turn this to read-only mode, to the owners or admins. But if the site's in read-only mode here, if I could zoom in on this is really blurry, so it's not a great view for you guys. But basically, there's going to be this little banner message up at the top of the site that showcases that, talks about contacting the admin. And then, from the perspective of, any document that they're trying to access would showcase read-only, right, as part of that. But then in here, you're able to go in and go ahead and just unlock the site right from the site page there in the All Site section of where we were just at in the SharePoint Admin Center. And if you're using the archiving section, just to note, this is also the ability to reactivate it from an archived state as well. I just want to reference that just in case you get into that and want to understand more about the end user experience.
Okay guys, let's recap the mission. Inactive SharePoint sites are dead weight. They cost you storage, they widen your attack surface, and they quietly poison your AI rollout. Site Lifecycle Management, SharePoint Advanced Management lets you find them, lock them down to read-only without losing anything, and allows you to reverse them cleanly when you need to restore. All this information, including helpful links and other information about how to securely roll out Copilot and other AI tooling, can be found in my school community, so you can check that out in the video description. But if this helped, definitely subscribe to next week's mission, comment with any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.